Chanel Scott. I felt like God was telling me, the bishop. Let me correct that properly. Was telling me the bishop was my husband. I'm gonna play this video for you. I'm reacting to this video within the fair use guidelines from the Dear Future Wifey, and then we'll come back and then we'll talk.
On and on, I get a call from a private number, and it was him. And he asked us, he basically asked, which, I thought you guys were coming next weekend. And as he said, y'all must have checked out of your hotel already. And I said, yes, we have. He said, well, I'd like to catch up with you guys, but I'm going to go to dinner first. Like, I guess the church at that time was preparing a meal for him. He had lost his wife, so they were, taking care of him. And so we was like, cool. And so we went and we got dinner. And while we were waiting for him to reach back out, we changed our clothes and he called. And the first thing he said is, now listen. He was like, I know, I don't want to say his name. I can't say his name. I can't say his name. But he was like, but what he used his name in what I'm about to say. Yeah. He was like, I hope y'all didn't come here for
Todd. Just say Todd.
Todd Revelations. Because, he's amazing pastor. And I'm like, I didn't even know what he was talking about. I wasn't familiar with what he meant. And so I'm like, no, we just came, just to check, come to church, trying to play it smooth, not trying to be too overly aggressive or too forthcoming. And so prior to him calling, right? Me and my girlfriend, we're having this conversation. She was like, so where we gonna meet at? I said, girl, I don't know. She said, I know he ain't gonna invite us to his house. I said, I don't know. Probably not. I don't know where he'll tell us because he lives here. When he called, he was like, this is my address. I said, girl, he invited us to his house now. And so we went. He said he liked to have, he relaxes on Sundays after church. And so I'm like, okay, that's cool. We just came. We just gonna hang out. No problem. We get to the house. He lives in a big, beautiful home. And when he steps out the front door, he has on a shirt and shorts. That was the first thing. I was like, oh God, where the suit at? I thought that was the bishop. Because
I thought they wear suits everywhere. Yeah, I thought they sleep in suits.
I just wasn't used to it. I saw him in a certain light. Yeah. So he was himself, which I appreciated. Yeah. And he allowed us to come into his home and we played Truth or Dare. We played cards. And the games were kind of structured where he could really, I know he was curious about what we were doing there. Yeah. And so with the whole Truth or Dare, that's how we got to the root of it.
What was that
with
question?
The bishop?
What did you reveal?
He was like, so tell me what made you guys come down here? And we look at my eyes big as quarters. Because I don't want to tell this man. I believe God told me you were my husband. I'm crazy, but I ain't that crazy. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes he want to be too aggressive. And I'm still struggling with it, but I believe this. Yeah. At this point, I didn't have the words to go along with it, but I believed it in my heart. And I'll tell you, because I want people to who have had these similar experiences. A lot of times when you in leadership in church, women are attracted to the anointing on your life, but they don't.
All right. Women are attracted to the anointing on your life. That's a real thing. Let's keep going. I'm going to tell you like a short version of the story so you can get the gist of what I'm trying to extract out of this episode of the Dear Future Wifey. You can go and watch the full thing. It's almost 2 hours. But I'll give you like the short gist of it and maybe some lessons.
Don't even understand it. Yeah. And so I'm still trying to figure it out, but I believe it in my heart. And so he was like, that's what's up. He trying to be all hip and cool and whatever.
Oh, you said it?
No, I said I had interest and I wanted to come in.
Oh, you said interest. So
I ain't say that husband stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
I have interest.
I had interest in meeting you. And so we decided to come is what I said. I did not say, I believe you, he probably would have put us out right then. And I remember him saying when we decided to spend the night, I was like, well, I'm hungry if we staying. And so we left my friend behind. He and I went to the kitchen. So we're talking and I just remember him saying, this is not like a defining moment or anything. And that's how he saw it. Meanwhile, I'm thinking this is purposeful. This is defining. I'm like, he must don't know, Lord.
He must don't know, Lord.
Don't know.
He a little slow, Joe.
Oh my God.
But I was afraid now. I was nervous. Because I was young. I was 33 years old when this happened. I'm 50.
That wasn't young.
I was like, I respected him and who he was, you know, and at that time I really desired a husband. Like, it was an unhealthy desire because I had accomplished everything that there was to accomplish at that age. Mm-hmm. And so we spend the night. And the next day, I mean, he was still cool. He was like, well, he played basketball back then, like in the morning times. I never forget. He was like,
all right. So she spent the night at the bishop's house. I think there's a friend. She also said they slept in the same bed, but somehow they didn't do anything. All right. But let me give you a quick a summary of what she's talking about. She said a young bishop lost his wife. And he happened to have visited their church. Did she say Atlanta or something like that? And but in another city entirely. And then she took a liking to the bishop. She felt like God was telling her that that's her husband. You know, sounds like a man who is a very sharp guy. You know, the guy ran a mega church in Nashville, Tennessee. So she decided to take a drive down. I think she said about 4 to 6 hours drive along with her friend to go visit the church. Again, no calls, nothing. They have no connection whatsoever. Didn't know each other. She was just infatuated with this guy. So she called it interest, right? So she went down, they drove down, they attended the service, they enjoyed the service and everything. But I think she had sent a message. Go listen to the full thing, go and support their future wifey. So she had basically sent out a message. She called the office of the church or something like that, the assistant, something like that. And then the assistant did not pick up, but they left some kind of message that they are coming to visit from out of town. So when they showed up, never really met the pastor because, again, it's a mega church. And then, you know, talk to the assistant. Oh, they thought you were coming next week, something like that. Unimportant details. Bottom line is that they checked out of the hotel. They had checked in the hotel, I guess, the night before. They checked out of the hotel, getting ready to drive back to our own city. I think she said Atlanta or somewhere in Texas. I think it's Atlanta. But yeah, so they were getting ready to drive back, and that's when she got the phone call. So Bishop was, oh wow, you came to blah blah blah, and then ended up giving them the address. They ended up at the bishop's house, and she said they were hungry. The bishop, they could stay the night. They played Smash or Pass. No, not Smash or Pass. They played Truth or Dare. They played Truth or Dare. So, but she also went on to continue the story. They ended up kissing that night. Something about, you know, like she can kiss him if she can't tell the truth. You know how that game works. But that's what happened. So now this next part here, she told a little bit more about what had been happening in the church. I think she ended up moving to Nashville because she was actually very obsessed with what she felt in her spirit. She felt like God was telling her that the bishop was her husband. By the way, this lady is 50 now. But let me play again. Remember, she said she was obsessed. She didn't use the language obsessed, but she wanted a husband. And she said the desire for a husband was quite unhealthy. She said that. Okay, I guess we can call that obsessed. But let me play this one for you, this clip right here. Then we'll talk.
And that's where it gets real tricky.
It gets real tricky because when I moved there, obviously I'm not the only one. I'm new to this. It was so many women that believe that man
Are you
was
hearing
their
them
husband.
saying that?
Yeah, I met a few. I sat next to one lady in the congregation. She was like, God just led me here. And
she moved there too.
She came to visit. She didn't move. She came to the church to visit. I worked with another one who moved from Alabama. Said, me and him, we have an assignment together. I said, this some ugly curse.
Me and him have an assignment together. Another lady and a bunch of other ladies.
I met women who believe this thing. I did. So.
And while you were hearing them say that, you never put yourself in that same category.
You know what? No, because they never had the encounter. So I was hanging my hat on. I met him. I know he attracted to me. At least I got that.
And you can
so the way she justified herself is that, remember that kiss from the Smash or Pass? No, sorry, Truth or Dare game, right? That kiss. That's the reason. So she felt like for her, it's a little bit more confirmed. She had there was an attraction, obviously, because obviously the bishop stole a small kiss.
Say we kissed.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, at least one time. We did. And I just, I don't know what I was thinking. Like in hindsight, I'm like, what were you thinking? What were you thinking?
And what was your cousin telling you?
You know what? Me and her wasn't even talking at the time by now.
Anyway, if you want the full story, go watch Dear Future Wifey. I think the episode is season 9, episode 905. Now, let me tell you, I'm going to read some of these comments here. These comments are interesting. Ladies, this is what I tell you. See, again, this is part of that kingdom talk stuff. Kingdom talk can only go so far. In this life, it's either you have the skills or you don't have the skill set. That's what it comes down to. Either we're talking about how to attract a husband, a wife, or you're talking about how to handle conflict, handle crisis in an existing relationship already. Fighting each other is not going to work. Obviously, if it's a marriage, existing marriage, and just kingdom talk, it's not enough. Okay, it's not enough. It can only get you so far, is the point. Now, it can create a good environment for you to nurture everything else, right? A certain environment, a certain vibe, ambience, maybe by the kingdom talk that can help you. But in the end, you're going to need some skills because you're competing with the rest of the 8 billion people here. You need skills. The media is real. The influence of the media on all of us is real. So if you're not prepared for the impact on your relationship, you will collect. So I'm looking at some of the comments. Somebody said, years ago, a lady from my church was 100% sure a man was her husband. They said this is very rampant in church. Why? Because we've been giving those testimonies for all those years. And those testimonies have that power. Yes, those testimonies have the power to control and redirect your life in a weird, delusional, twisted way. Yes. Also in a positive way. But I'm just saying, most people, what they're doing, like I'll tell you right now, my pastor, every time there's going to be we have testimony Sundays once a month, he has to do like a little pet talk at the beginning, like, hey, this is not the part where you take somebody's conversation and you go start backbiting or you start gossiping behind, because people do that. Anyway, they were dating. Okay, so she said, years ago, a lady from my church was 100% sure a man was her husband. They were dating, but that man chose another woman who he admitted he didn't seek God to see if she was the right one. She was just the woman he wanted. Okay, so listen to this. By the way, while she was in Nashville, the lady we were just covering us, while she was in Nashville, the guy ended up marrying somebody else right in front of her face. And she was working for the church and she had devoted her life for the church. And she was very involved in the church, keeping the hope alive that one day this guy will just pop the question right in front of her face. Over a period of about 4 years, she said, the guy actually proposed to somebody else and married somebody else. Go listen to the video. It was a painful thing to listen to when she was talking about it. Anyway, I personally believe if God tells you a man is your husband, God will also tell the man. Listen, this God said thing. There's gonna be more conversation around it. Just wait for it. Just remember that I said this, right? God said. I feel like God was saying like that stuff. Human beings are not your mates. Okay, we manipulate everything. We twist everything. She admitted to it. We twist everything to fit the narrative we want it to look like, including God said. Okay, and the funny part about all of that is that a lot of people just lack discernment. Spirit or abilities, so they can't pick it up. Once you say God said, you get them. That's how you get them. Just say God said, It's over for them. Anyway, I'm here. So what's their way around it? We are human beings. There are patterns. There's a skill sets that you can learn. Especially if you're not 25, you're no longer 25, 26, 27, 28. You cannot be winging things along in this life. You go collect. Anyway, and that man will lead the relationship, and we also have the free will. That man can decide to not choose you, even if God presents. This is all gibberish talk. It's a waste of talk, essentially. Another person said, this happened to me years ago. We were friends for about 4 months. We kissed once. We were in seminary class together. He gave me a lot of mixed signals. A leader of the church said he was my husband. I was immature in Christ. This was 9 years ago. I was so confused, but God is not an author of confusion. Even bought a wedding dress. Shake my head. There's a lot of women like this. I told him I loved him, and he pulled back. I snapped out of it after my sister said, a man who loves you wouldn't confuse you. Now I'm married and healed from this devastation. I heard someone say that your idols speak clearly to you and you think it's God. Oh yeah. Oh, that's profound. I like that. I think I should round that up right there. Your idol speaks clearly to you and you think it's God. Another way that I've usually said that, if somebody says I idolize getting married, I totally get it. Being there, I learned so much. Another way that I usually say that is, the devil is always going to come for you from a blind spot. If you're obsessed with people that say God said, God said, God said, the devil is going to come to you looking like that. So you're going to need a little bit more than kingdom talk, okay, to figure this thing called life out. So she's telling me she doesn't know how mega pastors operate at this point. She's the other equation of that dynamic. Yes, women wanting pastors, that's a fact. They love the power he has over others. Pastors love free, silent, unholy pum pum. The testimonies are mostly their feelings. 2 men from my church told me they saw I was their wife at the same time. Exactly. So, ladies, you got to be careful. Gentlemen, obviously, there's a lot of responsibilities for you in this regard. That person is absolutely correct. If you love a person, you wouldn't confuse them. You can be in love with them and confuse them. In love is a form of affection. It's your emotions. Loving a person means you are actually being intentional. You're actually trying to do life together, and you understand that there are skill sets that you need to learn, not just today, not just before the marriage, but on an ongoing basis. You remain a student of it for as long as it takes before it becomes second nature. And even at second nature, it's all a moving target. You have to keep working on yourself. And unfortunately, a lot of kingdom talk does not allow people to do that. It just basically tells people subconsciously, it's not something I expect anybody to admit to. It's subconscious. It tells people that there's nothing else to do than to just obey. Sometimes what they're obeying is the ideas they already nursed in their mind as what it's supposed to be. Remember I spoke about that when it comes to the Jesus babies. They orchestrate it, make it look like what they want it to look like. Men will use money to buy the kind of love they want. Women will use their looks, their attraction to create the picture of what they've always dreamt about. To an extent, that's a healthy behavior. To a large extent, you might want to be careful. Like, again, it's okay to have butterflies and have feelings of attraction towards another person, but at some point you got to be like, okay, I'm about to do life with this person. Let's not move mad. Let's understand what we're getting into, because obviously we're caught up in our emotions, which is a good thing. Again, you're in love, but again, what else is in your blind spot that you can't see? Ladies, you cannot vet a man by yourself. You can't. Okay. Gentlemen, if you don't have a higher self, a higher version of yourself, a God that you yield to, right? A few accountability partners around you that can actually hold you accountable, you're probably going to fail too. Just letting you know. So it goes to all of us. All of us need some level of authority, accountability, partners, systems in place, so that we can make sure that we're covering all the bases. You're about to do life with this person. And I always say, you can't say it's too late because you've been married for 5 years. Today is a new foundation. It's a brand new opportunity to get it right. Okay. So that story, heart versus reality. This is a struggle for a lot of kingdom people. We're going to keep talking about it because I'm a church boy myself. But if you notice, I tend not to say God said, God said, God said. It's not that I don't have very strong conviction on certain things that I know is God saying it. It's not that I don't know when God is saying something, but I need to set myself apart from the labels. Okay, and honestly, it's getting annoying these days. So, and I'm saying that with all humility. Anyway, hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications, join the conversation in the comment area. Join the conversation in the comment area. And I will be right back.
Hey Prestige fam, show some love to the video. Hit like, subscribe, and share. Are you in Europe, America, and struggling in your relationship? From argument to abuse and trust issues, we're here to help.
Lola and I founded Prestige Marriage Academy to transform your story. With 20 years of friendship, 17 years of marriage, experience with navigating the ups and downs of marriage, and personalized coaching, includes 24/7 support. Ignorance is expensive. WhatsApp us at +1 732 305 8577 to book a free discovery session today and take charge now.
Don't wing it.
Join us in creating the love life you deserve.